Pauillac, the land of the giants. When you think about Pauillac, and you think about wines like Mouton Rothschild, Lafite Rothschild, Chateau Latour, Pichon Lalande, Pichon Baron, Ponte Canet. I mean, the list just goes on and on. Lynch Bodge, Grand Puy Lacoste, Grand Puy de Casse, for that matter. But there are properties in Pauillac that have been under the radar for many, many years, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that it really wasn't up until probably the 90s that that Bordeaux started to really pick up steam again. I remember talking to the Gildas from Pichon Lalande, and he was saying that they were like pretty poor farmers up until, you know, probably the mid 80s till when they got the 82 vintage, and then things started to pick up and they started to sell futures, and they had to sell futures in order to finance the following year's vintage. And so, you know, it's amazing how fast things have transformed, and now a place like Pauillac, you know, an acre of land will cost you, I probably don't know this exactly, and someone's going to correct me, but, you know, probably an acre of land would probably cost you like $500,000 or something. It's crazy, you know, how valuable the land is there. And when we talk about land, we have to talk about the fact that, you know, Pauillac has great terroir most everywhere within the appellation, because it's not a huge appellation, but everybody that's in that appellation is making world-class wine, and most of the chateaus in the appellations are classified. But now we talk about the Perroni family. And Perroni family has been basically owners of Chateau Fonbadet for several generations. And you know, every time I would drive up the highway, there's this kind of main road that runs through, it's called the D2. And you know, when you pass Las Casas and Saint Julien, and you come into Pauillac, you know, you see, you know, Latour, then you see the, you know, Pichon Baron, you see Pichon Lalande, and then you drive a little bit further up and you see the chateau called Chateau Fonbadet, you know, and you're thinking, okay, wait a minute here, what's going on? You know, you got all these great chateaus, and now you got this chateau, and this. Now I'm talking when I first started going to Bordeaux back in, you know, 2003 and 2004, et cetera, et cetera. And really back then it was kind of just a ho-hum chateau. I mean, they made ho-hum wine, and that's what it was, you know. And then in 2011, Pascale Perroni, she decided that she was going to get back into the family business. She was a lawyer by trade, and she worked under her father for many years, or with her father for many years. But she decided that, hey, wait a minute here. What I'm seeing happening, especially, okay, you remember 2011, we're talking 2009, 2010 vintage. When you saw the prices of Bordeaux just skyrocket during that time. And basically, she kind of said, you know what, we got some killer terroir. We're going to make some killer wine. And at that point, things changed rapidly for Chateau Fonbadet. Now, some of the reason is what her dad Pierre did properly was farming. He was a good farmer, but it wasn't just about being a good farmer and terroir that made great wines. You had to, it had, you know, like I remember somebody said, you know, terroir is all things not from man. But then I talked to some other vignerons, and I'm like, wait a minute, man has a lot to do with this, because if you don't know how to deal with the terroir as far as making the wine, you'll never make great wine. And that's when Pascale said, you know what, Pops, I'm going to take over, and we're going to change things around here. We're going to go, you know, we're going to change the way we farm. We're not going to use herbicides or pesticides anymore. We're going to go organic. So we're going to treat the vines in a different way. We're going to bring on the enologist Michel Rolland. We're going to basically change the way we, you know, have been doing business and making wine for all these years, because now where we are, where we're located, what our neighbors are selling for, you know, and what we're selling for. We need to prove to the world that, you know, what we're doing and where we are deserves this place. And so, as such, Dad said, "Cool, go for it." And when you think of the terroir in Chateau Fonbadet, it's truly remarkable. I mean, they got 10 acres, basically on the border with Chateau Latour. They got 6 acres next to Lynch-Bauge, and then the remaining 24 acres is sandwiched between Pontet-Canet and Mouton Rothschild. I mean, they got the dirt. They got great dirt. And then now you bring in Michel Rolland, who is guiding them in the winemaking process. Essentially, you have mainly Cabernet. This is Pauillac. So for 2020, you have 73% Cabernet Sauvignon, 24 Merlot. And I'm going to pour some in the glass right now, just so you can see the color. And you know, the thing is you know, Michel Rolland has this aura for, you know, making big, robust, dark, chewy, juicy wines, you know. But he also makes elegant wines, because you got to remember, he also makes Level Poifferet. He consults at Pontet-Canet, and these are 100-point wines. And they're not in the right bank, they're in the left bank. So when Pascal decided to choose an enologist, and she chose Michel, she chose him because she wanted to bring the best of the terroir that the family owns. And since Michel is very experienced with Pontet-Canet, which most of their vineyards are next to Pontet-Canet, it was just a good fit. It was just a good fit. So we have the 2020 here. Oh boy, you know, Pauillac is so distinctive. It's just, you know, when you think Saint Estèphe and then Saint Julien, and you have Pauillac between, they're so different, all three of them. It's really fascinating to me. That's why I love to do what I do, you know. But wine is just, it's a fascinating thing. But when you get to this level, when you are surrounded by wines that cost $500, $300, $200 a bottle, and then this wine, which we're selling for $29.98, it's crazy when you think about it. Ooh. Pauillac. This wine says, "I'm Pauillac." It's more currant fruit, you know, black currants, tobacco, graphite, a little lead pencil. And the tannins, and this is where Michel's so good, managing the tannins. And 2020 is a big year. 2020 is a lot like 2010. These tannins are firm, but they're not furry. You know, so they're there. You know they're there, but you want them silky on the palate to kind of bring out all that terroir, all that stuff that kind of, you know, makes Pauillac what it is, and what makes it so famous. And I tell you, man, at $30, Pauillac, and now wait, and that's not all. The critics love it too. I mean, the critics are recognized in Fonbadet. Jeb Dunnick, 94 points. A slew of 93 points. Antonio Gloni, Decanter Magazine, Wine Cellar Insider, James Suckling. So you see what I'm saying here? We're on to something. I mean, we did the 2018, which 2018 is a great vintage, and it was a fantastic wine. And well, we sold most of it. Well, I think we sold all of it. And we had a bunch of it. But the 2020 takes it up a notch. It really does, because the wine has got so much tension, and because 2020 is kind of known as, again, like 2010, the wine will age. When you put it in the cellar for 10 years, 15 years, no problem. But what I like about what Michel does is he brings pleasure in the wine at an early age. And that's something when you can drink a wine young and still hold it for another 10, 15 years, and at $29.98, 2020 Pauillac, that's magic.